What's going on, Star Wars fan? My name is Chris Ryans from Bro Axiom.
And I am Pete Flitzer from the SSW Network, and we are the Trill OGs.
That's right. And this time we're going to be talking about Hayden Christensen, his rise, his not fall, and his so-called redemption, if you want to call it that.
He's lived the Vader life, hasn't he?
Really... Yeah. Look, I'll say, just like Vader, he's never fallen in my eyes, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about other, but not me.
I don't know, man. Vader was kind of a bad dude, man.
Oh, he was a bad dude in the best way possible. He did some horrible things. Oh, man.
We got to admit that.
Yeah.
But we still love him, I guess. I don't know.
It was all for the greater good of evil.
Sure. Right.
It's all for the greater good of evil.
Sure. Yeah. Except, the planet he blew up.
Well, that wasn't him. He just stood by and let it happen. That's all.
I don't know. He's got to take some culpability for that, I think.
I mean, he could have said stop, but,
Right.
But he was...
I mean, hey, we've seen Tarkin. He's not gonna, He's not going to be like, you know what? You're right, Darth. I'm sorry. Let's, we should...
Tarkin's running the show. It's all on him, and he went down with the ship.
He did. Yes,
absolutely did. But so we're going to be talking about Hayden Christensen, the guy who was cast to be Anakin Skywalker. No pressure. Yeah. So let's take it back to that announcement. From what I can remember, look, I was not upset or anything like that. I didn't have anyone in mind to play the role.
Right.
So I was like, they got this. George got this. So they picked this kid, and as soon as they picked him, I say kid, we're not like the same age, but they picked this guy, and then I immediately went to try to find some things about him, just to know what he's done, what he's been in. So I looked, and I was like, well, okay, all right, I'm in.
Didn't he have like a short role on ER, like a cameo or something
like that?
I know he was. Because I remember watching some show I normally don't watch because I heard he was going to be a not even a special guest, just like a guest role to like a walk-on kind of guy.
I think for me it was, and I can't remember the show. It was a Canadian show, and I think there were a bunch of problem kids or something like that, and he had dealt with addiction at one point, or he just had like a really troubled past. So the scenes that I saw, because back then trying to get stuff on the internet, movies and whatnot, it was tough.
You had to look for stills and be happy.
Yeah. And if you found a video, you had to go through the farthest corners of the internet to get an AVI file, maybe.
Yeah. Let it download overnight. See if you remember it. It's like 3D printing now, right? You start it and hope it finishes.
So I found this one clip. It was him just suffering. It was just like some suffering that he was doing, and there was it was like at nighttime, and it was like a thunderstorm, and the lightning crackling and whatnot, and he was just in turmoil, and I was like,
right,
there's Anakin. There you go.
That could do.
We're good.
Yeah,
I'm good. We got him. How was your excitement for Hayden when you first heard of how they were casting
I'm with
him?
you too, because I didn't know anything about him. I don't think I even heard his name before. Like I said, I heard about that show that he was doing a guest spot on, and that was it. So to your point, I think especially at that time versus today, today if they were to do it, we'd be expecting Ryan Gosling or somebody to be young Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. He's not so young anymore, but but Star Wars is now in that world of not necessarily shying away from big names. So I wasn't too terribly, I wasn't precious about who should be there either, but and then we started seeing pictures of him, and because was it Revenge of the Sith, or not Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, where they were running the live video from the set? They were streaming that. So we got these little glimpses of him, and we had nothing to expect. I think the other thing is, and this again, I think what we've learned is it has nothing to do with the actors, but I think if poor why can't I think of his name? The kid who played young
Oh, Jake
Anakin,
Lloyd.
uh, Jake Lloyd. To no fault of his
Mm.
own, I think we all were like, it's got to be better than Jake Lloyd. So it's, and again, that's not his fault, because I think as we look back, we realize
He was a
George Lucas
child.
should have had different. Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
child, and George Lucas should have had somebody else directing his movies. I think that's where he did best. That's my
Mm.
opinion. I think, I'm glad that he ended up doing the prequels, and we have that biggest, most expensive indie films ever
Yeah.
made. But um, yeah, I mean, I think I often, like sometimes I'm like, what if Steven Spielberg, the director who's best with children in the world, directed Phantom Menace? Like, what would have happened
How
there?
did
It would have
he
been a different
never
story,
direct a Star
right?
Wars film? Like, I think he may have maybe directed scenes, or of course he gave input like
Yeah,
crazy. But
yeah,
man, how come we never got him as a
yeah,
director? But anyway, we're getting off topic.
yeah.
Um,
But as it relates to
yeah.
Hayden, like, yeah, I didn't expect anything. I
Mhm.
mean, I was, I we got decent performances in Phantom Menace, so I don't think we had anything to think about. It was
Mhm.
just, oh, okay, this is the guy that's going to do it.
Yeah.
So
I
cool.
don't know if any of that internet doubt, the way it is nowadays, um, crept in beforehand. I think it was just
Yeah,
I can't remember if it was that. It probably was, because fans are fans, no matter what decade, no
right,
matter what era you're in. Um,
right.
but I just, in my small circle, without me, because I don't think I was even on a bunch of the I was on like the force.net or something like that. Like, I was on there, but I wasn't on any of the message boards like anything. I wasn't conversing with Star Wars fans like anything, and I
Right.
really should have stuck to that. But
Right.
whew, boy. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I had no reason to doubt anyone's word or anything like that. Um
Yeah.
and I think, like, once the images started rolling in, I was like even more confident in what we're going to be getting. Like, I think the first thing we saw was like a still of him. It was an action shot of him running through the streets of Coruscant, like the some of
Yeah.
those under levels. And it was like
Yep.
just a side shot of him running through. Um,
Yep.
and so it was like a blur almost, but you could see him.
Yeah.
I think that
He had
was
the braid
yes,
and
yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, and I remember that too. Like, just those early images. And again, it was a different time, right?
Mhm.
I think that's one of the things that we as OGs have that, the newer generation doesn't, is we lived for Starlog magazine. We
Mhm.
lived for little snippets, photos on, Ain't It Cool News and
Wow,
the
yeah,
Force.net
yeah.
and Jedi Newsnet and
Hmm.
wherever these things would pop up. And like you, I don't know if it is like you, but I used to check them. Like, I'd be at
Yes,
work and I'd be like, let me just take a look over at Ain't It Cool News real
yeah.
quick, see if anything's come up. But so yeah, there was excitement there. And then the movie came out. And I think that was interesting, because I was, as I've told you before, I was at the premieres of all
Yeah.
three uh prequels in New York
Hmm.
City, so the big events there. My favorite part about uh Attack of the Clones was, I've told this story before, but it's funny. My wife and I were in line. She wasn't my wife at the time yet, but we were in line waiting to get in, right? And there were celebrities all over the place, and we realized we were standing right in front of Karen Allen, and she was there with her son, and he had I think it was an Anakin action figure in
Hmm.
his hand, and my wife was like, because one of the things I think about when I think about, and this is like advice for anybody who meets a celebrity, like, just treat them like a person. They prefer that than being like, oh my God, you're that guy. You're the
Hmm.
thing who did the, I mean, in your head, you can be doing that, and you
Yeah.
are. But Karen was just talking to us. She had her son. We were just a couple in line, and we were just going back and forth. And then my wife at one point goes, I just got to ask, what was it like kissing Harrison Ford? Because her and every woman I know loves Harrison
Uh
Ford. Um, Karen Allen was just like, eh. So she was like,
huh.
"Oh no, don't tell me that." But I digress. This is why we have an hour long show when we do ATG
Yeah.
because we digress. But um, I remember the opening of that movie, and again, coming off the opening of Phantom Menace, which was, sort of it wasn't sure how we felt about it, and the acting I felt, and for better or worse, and again, I'll always be honest about my Star Wars opinion. I felt like it was stilted, but again, I think if we look back, it's
Hayden's
all just the way
performance,
George
or
directed.
you talking
Yeah,
Hayden?
Hayden's
Okay, okay.
performance. Well, actually, I mean, honestly, his and even I think Natalie Portman a bit more in Attack of the Clones. She
Mm,
was great, I think, in Revenge of the Sith. I think she came too in that. But I don't know. I just felt like he was a little bit too stiff, like a lot of people did. But again, I've said it 100 times already. I'll keep saying it. George wasn't a great director, so George was just like, you get in the elevator with Ewan and say these lines, and they did it.
mm,
I didn't hate him at all, but I don't think he was. Let me put it this way: he was no better or worse than anybody else in the movie.
mm,
So,
mm.
it's still my number 9 out of 10 on the Star Wars films
Attack
list,
of the Clones.
probably. Uh, yeah, and
Wow.
I know it's funny that people either are like behind me on that 100% or like, dude, what are you even talking about? So, but that's just for me,
Mm,
and you know, I let me put it this way: I'm still gonna watch it every time I see it.
right,
I'm
right.
still, um, but as far as my favorite of the Star Wars films, it was a little bit low, but it's just the opinion I had of it.
Mm. I thought you were going to say when you went to the premiere and you saw the kid with his Anakin figure, you were going to be like, "Nah, I almost brought mine.
Well,
Don't
I
look at
mean,
me."
where's my? Do you have? Can I steal that
Yeah,
from you?
yeah.
Would you mind if I take
I
that?
have that one. Huh. For me, I didn't see a bad. For me, I didn't see a bad
Yeah,
performance, and I think that goes into the way that I look at these movies. Um,
yeah,
for me, and I've said this before in ATG Live, but for me, it's when I look at the Star Wars movie, I'm not thinking of the acting job. I'm not thinking of the maybe like my fifth or 10th viewing down the line or something like that. I'll go into certain things, but for me, it's like I'm looking out of a window
hmm
into like another world. So I'm just seeing this world play out as it is. So
yeah,
for me, like when people say like his acting was wooden or anything like that, and just like you, and I'm being absolutely honest when I say this,
yeah,
I was like, oh, that's just that's how Anakin is. That to me, that's how Anakin
yeah,
is. He's playing the part. Being
yeah,
that they are Jedi, and we know how uh, not stilted, not re-
reserved.
reserved their culture
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah,
That for me, that I think that played a part into it. And
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, I think he did say that he did channel a bit because he wanted to show that this is future Vader. So he tried to
right.
bring a little bit of James Earl Jones's cadence
Yeah,
to it, and maybe that just for some people that didn't work without the mask on.
yeah.
But that's just what I got from it, from
Well,
his
and it's funny you
performance.
say that because I read that somewhere or saw that somewhere, and now when I watch him doing it, I do try to
Mm,
go down that road, and I think it's actually pretty good.
mhm.
I think he wasn't given a lot to work with. I don't think, um, in that movie anyway. I think he was just he was a little creepy, right? Anakin was a little
Oh
creepy with
no, no, no! Come
Padme, and
on, no, he
not
wasn't.
at all.
No, he wasn't.
No.
Don't look at me like that. Why not? You know,
Okay, all right.
it makes me uncomfortable.
I was,
Sorry, my lady. And he kept the stare on, before the wipe
and he
happened.
just kept doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. uh,
sir,
I mean,
sir.
yeah. There's so much we could go there. So much, but yeah, no, I think you're right. I think he definitely captured a little bit of that cadence, and maybe it just to me again. You make a really interesting point about the acting in Star Wars in general, right? And I think when I think about the best acting in Star Wars
Mhm.
movies, you know without having prepared a list, I would say Harrison Ford he did a lot with Han
Hmm.
Solo. Um, I was just came up on my feed some reshoots from um, A New Hope when he's doing the conversation with Greedo, and you could tell he's channeling that guy. I thought he was great. I thought Daisy Ridley and John Boyega and
Adam,
even Adam
yeah,
Driver. Yeah, more. Yeah, I was actually thinking of
he's probably my
Poe.
top two. Adam Driver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is why Rise of Skywalker is my number 10 Star Wars movie, because they didn't give enough to do. Like, that could have been Kylo's movie,
Hmm.
right? And after he throws his lightsaber after seeing his dad, he literally has no
He
lines
he
the rest
he
of the
really
movie.
does, but he makes it work. He
Oh, he
made it
does.
work.
He
He
absolutely
could have
does.
used a
He
line,
absolutely does.
well, he did have a line, "Ow,"
That's
when he
true.
fell on
That
the
is true.
chains. Ow.
As far as Hayden goes, I think it was also his first major
Yeah.
motion picture,
Yeah.
and he's playing, as you were saying at the top, he's playing Darth Vader.
Hmm.
I would
Look,
dare say the most famous character of all time.
the pressure, like, to say I would be, make sure I get this right in Star Wars terms, poo doing permacrete, um, just blocks of it, like throughout that whole thing. Like he hit because he literally the most important character in Star Wars.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
most, like, his character is the linchpin for everything. You
Well,
know.
and as George has said, like the first six are really Vader's
Hmm.
story, right? So you're coming in, you've never done a major movie before. You're coming into this multi-million dollar production,
Hmm.
and you were selected out of thousands of choices.
Yoked this dude
And
straight from
you
Canada. Like, come here.
yep, yeah. Yeah. Which is I think he found his bearings for um Revenge of the
Hmm.
Sith, and that's where I think he became the Anakin that we all know and love. He became the Clone Wars Anakin. He became he was able to carry the arrogance a little bit. He
Hmm.
was able to carry the yeah, and yeah, as I'm saying that, I'm realizing, like, Attack of the Clones required him to probably play the heaviest emotional part of Darth Vader,
Yes.
right? Because even though Revenge of the Sith, it all goes to hell, but it's a different level. Whereas the Attack of the Clones, he deals with the death of his
Uh,
mother. He's dealing
all the
with
hormones and whatnot, and his love for,
right. He's trying to he's still in love with this woman he hasn't seen in
yeah.
years, and he doesn't know how. Like, there's a lot to portray,
Hmm.
and having George as your director George isn't going to be like, now think about this, think about your first love, and what did you do there? Like,
Mm,
George is just like,
mm.
say the line, just let's do it faster, faster.
More intense.
But more intense. Um, so from that perspective, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, because now I will probably go watch Attack of the Clones. Well, probably tonight because the Flyers aren't on. So I'll watch tonight, and I'll watch it with a different
Mm,
perspective. But again, I think it was interesting because at that time you also had people who were still pissed off about Phantom
yeah.
Menace. You had the beginning of the "We hate George Lucas, he ruined our childhood"
Right.
fans, and so honestly, no matter what Hayden Christensen did, it was very similar to some of the stuff we're seeing today,
Yeah.
right? No matter what he did, unless there was this rare 1 in a billion chance to pull off the character the way everybody expected him to
Yeah.
be. And that's the other thing too. This was the first time in Star Wars where, other than meeting Anakin in Phantom Menace, where we all had our own ideas to what this character was
Yeah.
and what he did,
Yeah.
and we all carried, because we all remembered the original novelization where all we heard was
They
that
fought over a volcano.
Obi-Wan pushed. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yep. So we knew that was coming, but we just didn't know when, and we didn't know how, but there was, again, a ton of pressure on that kid
Yeah.
to do it.
But I do think that he, in both movies, rose to the occasion and passed the flying colors, as far as I'm concerned, as far as
Yeah.
playing this character. because he came in at a very difficult time in Anakin's life,
Yep.
and to me pulled it off. Like like you remember seeing all the, not memes, because I don't know if there were memes back then, but just angry posts and whatnot from people
Yeah.
with the, oh, his acting is wooden. They should have gotten such and such. Oh, why did they bring in
Right.
Sync into this? Oh, they've ruined everything, and Hayden's the reason. Or so, I was so stupid. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
like, and he dealt with a lot. They all dealt with a lot. Him, Jake Lloyd, and
Yep.
Ahmed Best, like those three in particular,
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
dealt with so much. And for Hayden, like, because like I know he did a Jumper and a couple other like films
Yeah. Afterwards. Yep.
afterwards, but he
Jumper's really
I
good, by
did
the
I
way. I
liked it.
really
I
like
liked it.
Jumper. Yeah.
And then there was the one that was that, or was that the same one? One where he woke up right in the middle of a heart transplant. Was that the same movie?
I
I
don't.
forget.
It might be.
But
There was one where he worked at the newspaper.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, that one
Anyway,
too.
go ahead.
Um,
Yep.
but yeah, so like yeah, he took some time away from it all.
Yep.
And I don't blame him because he got a lot of undue, unwarranted, in my opinion, hate that
Yeah.
should not have been, thrust upon him. He was just doing his job, and he did it to the best of his ability.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's the first time too where we were seeing this connection where people, I mean, I think they saw it with Star Trek, where people put the actor
mhm.
as the target versus
Yes,
the character,
yeah,
right? When people would meet, uh, uh what's
Good old Billy Shatner.
anybody, yeah, Bill Shatner, they would just like drill him as if he's Captain
Yeah,
Kirk. And and I think that continues today. I think that's one of the biggest
yeah,
problems with
yeah. And I used to be like,
nobody.
and I love Star Trek, but I mean, like, I was always like, yeah,
Yeah,
Star Wars fans, we're not like them. We're not like
we
them.
we weren't for a
We
long time.
weren't. And then the special editions came out, and then the
Right, and
prequels
then
just
the
like
shit hit the fan.
ramped everything up from there. Yes.
I read a book recently that goes
Oh,
into the fan reaction.
yes. What is that?
Oh, that's a book called Who Owns the Myth. You can find it on Amazon or
Yeah,
whoownsthemyth.com. No, but it's I don't
shameless
mean to hawk
plug.
my stuff, but
No.
shameless completely. But there is that kind of, it's all part of, and maybe this is the more interesting perspective, is that this was a character, this was a role that, as we said before, would never live up to expectations,
Mm,
right?
mm.
The Boba Fett series is another example. Tamora Morrison is Tamora Morrison.
Yeah.
He was Django, of course,
Hmm.
and
Every
when he
clone
came back to
imaginable.
play
Yeah.
Boba, every color, right, he's got thousands of Star Wars characters.
Hmm.
Um, but like I thought it was a very interesting journey, but people didn't want that, and they blamed everything from his acting to the story to Disney to everything
Right.
in between. So, but Hayden was damned if he did and damned if he didn't,
Yeah.
and that was, I think, the biggest
And
problem.
that is so unfortunate. But I'm so glad that, and before I even go any further, and
Yeah,
I, I before we started this, I was like, I'm going to make an apology for my entire generation of Star Wars fans to Hayden for what he went through. But it's not all of us, man. It's not all of
that's
us.
right.
There's
Yeah,
some like we talk about Gen X like we're this and we're that, and we are. But
yeah, we are.
we to me we may have got a couple things wrong. That's one of them. Is the
Right.
hate for him? I did not have that hate for him. I'll apologize for Gen X, but I'm not apologizing personally because I was not one of them.
You were not
I
a
was
part
not.
of the problem.
But I am so glad. And he was able to come back for Obi-Wan, and we were there
Yeah,
to witness this
yeah,
at Star Wars Celebration, to
that was so
see
cool. Yep,
the reaction that he got from the fans, from the next generation of us,
yep,
that grew up with him, like him and like Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan. That's their Han, Luke, and Leia, and I think that's
yeah,
great. I
yep,
think that's amazing, and that needs to keep happening. We can't keep holding on to the original trilogy. We gotta expand. We gotta move on. We gotta spread those wings and fly. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
just don't bring Star Wars to Earth. But um, don't 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 do that.
No.
But just the love that he got, and you can see it even
Yeah.
with him. Like he was taken aback by it when he was being interviewed
Making
by
me emotional.
Christina Ariel
Yep.
on their stage on the Star Wars show stage about that. And
Yep.
he was overwhelmed with emotion, and that's
There
great.
isn't a
He
single bit of it
deserved
that
that and
isn't
so much
deserved.
more. He deserved that.
There isn't a single bit of
For,
it
for
that isn't deserved.
this is what he should have gotten back then, but
Yeah.
our generation, like I said, I hate to lump us all together, but our generation was like, no, it's
Yeah.
wrong. You're supposed to not like him because he's not the
I
original, or he's
still
blah 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 blah. And so the younger generation stayed sort of silent until
yeah.
they found their own voice.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I have two really good friends. One of them was one of the first readers of my book. Actually, they both were, but one gave me a quote. But they still look at the sequels as like, I don't watch them. I don't like them. And that's,
The
but they,
sequel trilogy or
the
the
funny
prequel
thing is that,
trilogy?
I'm sorry, the
The prequels.
prequels, the prequels. They still don't like them. They still can't get over it. But both of them, like individually, have just been like, but you don't understand how much Star Wars means to me. So the cool thing is, I think, if you're mature enough about it,
Hmm.
like again, Rise of Skywalker, I have 1,000 things wrong with that
I
movie.
never
And again,
knew.
I know
I
it's
never
some
knew you
people's
didn't. I
favorites.
never knew you didn't like that movie. That
You
is
didn't know that?
no,
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 I
no.
should be a little more open about the way I feel about things, I think, maybe. But the great thing is it can still be part of the story,
Hmm.
and you can still accept it as part of the story. You just don't have to love the movie, and that's okay.
Hmm.
I think I still do credit the Clone Wars TV show, which wasn't Hayden, but the character that Hayden created, and the the tone and the way he carried
Hmm.
himself and all those things. I think it was still a great. It helped with that
Yeah.
love, because that generation, the millennials, I guess, they grew up watching Clone Wars, and so it didn't matter who did the voice. And as great as
Matt Lancer.
Stanton is, Matt Lantern, right? Lantern, um, as great as he is, and he's really
Mm.
good. He's still your live action is still Hayden,
Yeah,
and will always be.
yeah. And I love that he got to come back
Yeah,
and play this character some more, and with his years of experience, we're able to bring something different to it and under different
yeah,
direction. And I'm not going to say
that's
better or
great.
worse for me. I'm not going to say better or worse as George Lucas. I don't say a bad thing about that man. That's just how I am.
Yeah,
But but I'm glad he's able to come back. And one of the beautiful things about what Hayden's able to do with this Anakin character is play outside of what Jake Lloyd did, play every aspect of Anakin
yeah,
Skywalker and Darth Vader, even past death. I think that's
yep,
amazing. And still with Ahsoka season 2 coming out, his story's not done. This dude's about
right,
to become the
right.
father. I'm just saying, like, I think that's about to happen.
He's got to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're
Hot
right, and
take.
I think you're right. Hot
Maybe.
take. I think one of the great things about Hayden Christensen, and he didn't. And again, I will disagree about Attack of the Clones, and
Mm,
that's totally
mm,
cool. Um, but he's obviously a very good actor, and I love that he. It's funny. I think it takes different actors a different amount of time to recognize, good or bad, that's who they
yeah.
are, right? Like it took, I mean, Harrison Ford probably still barely accepts Han Solo and Indiana. Well, that's not true. He's finally accepting them, but of course he's like 86
Yeah.
years old or whatever he
Took
is.
him. Yeah.
Mark Hamill was smart to recognize that, all right, I'm always going to be Luke to people, and that's fine. And honestly, I feel like if Daisy can do that and get back into Star Wars, it will be the best thing she can do.
Yeah.
That said, Hayden recognized that every time somebody sees me, they're going to see
Hmm.
Anakin. And when I come back for the Ahsoka show, he studied he studied the Clone Wars
Yeah.
episodes, and you can see that he pulled enough of his own Anakin
Mm-hmm.
into the animated
Mm-hmm.
Anakin and pulled on all those years of history
Yeah.
and the way he presented himself. And it was so subtle that those of us who knew were like, he just
Yeah.
did the thing and he just moved that way. Um, and so that's great. And that's another thing he deserves a lot of credit for. Not only just putting up with all the
Yeah.
stuff for so long, but coming back and not phoning it in,
Yeah.
right? He could have just been like, "Yep, all right, I'll put on the Vader
Mm-hmm.
costume. I can do this." But no, he committed
Yeah.
to it, and he studied and he prepared and he brought it to life in a way that I don't think we could have asked for
Yeah.
anything better, honestly.
There were subtleties in what he did. Like we'll take the let's take the world against world, the world between worlds scenes.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he's dueling with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka says to him, like, I will not fight you, and it's so subtle, and he says, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
And of course, that
Yep.
goes back to what with Luke saying that to him on the second Death Star, and
Yep.
just the subtlety of that. Of course, that goes into the writing. Um, but just how you can see this is a different Anakin. This is an Anakin who's been through it all and has come out on the
Yep.
other side. Literally the other
Yep.
side of existence. With this, and it's so great to see. And he nailed it. This is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
He's
Yep.
still playing the most famous character or villain in motion picture history,
Yeah. Yeah.
with one of the greatest if not the greatest redemption story ever
Yeah.
outside of anything you've ever seen in pro wrestling. Um, so I think he did a great job, and I'm so glad that he's now getting the credit and the adulation that he so rightfully deserves.
So I have to ask you one last question regarding Hayden and Darth
Hmm.
Vader. And that is because I don't know how I feel about this, to be honest with you. But when you see Vader in the suit
Yep.
in the original trilogy, can you see Anakin? Can you see Hayden, more importantly, behind the mask?
This this has taken a lot. I have to I have to remind myself that that's Aiden, that's Anakin in there sometimes,
Right.
because like for us, we grew up with Vader, and we all had our you know notions of who this character is. Like for me, and my brother, my family, we're like, he's black. Like that's just Vader's
Yeah.
black. You got James Earl
Right.
Jones from the voice. I'm like, this is the my dad had this thing like, that's a bad dude. Like that's how you talk. Like he was always black, but to me, but
Yeah.
yeah, there was a point like a few years back, and I was watching Return of the Jedi with some friends, and just watching him throughout that movie, watching Vader throughout that movie. Like at one point on the Death Star, when he's fighting with Luke, and it just clicked that, oh my, like I always knew, but like it just clicked that, oh my god, this is Anakin.
Yeah.
This is a
Yep.
broken Anakin. This is an Anakin who has fallen so far. And I saw it. And for the first time outside of him, like I was never scared of Vader. I was always in awe of Vader. I was never scared of him. But
Yeah.
this is the first time I really saw him as this broken individual.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
almost it was heartbreaking in a way to see that, just to know what he's been through. Yeah, he's done some horrible things, like more than a lot of people know. You got to read the got to read the comics, but he's done some bad things. Um, um, like that hallway scene in Rogue One. It's like a level one of bad things compared to some of the things I've seen him do in Cold Blood. Um, but yeah, the character truly changed for me at that point, because I could see Hayden in there. I could see
Yeah.
a beaten and defeated Hayden or Anakin in there.
Yep.
And that really helped like shape, like he's still a bad dude to me. Like Vader's still a bad dude. Like
Yeah.
he's the coolest dude on in the world as far as I'm concerned. But I see the tragedy of that character much more clear than I
Yeah.
ever did. And yes, the books and the comics definitely help because this dude went through it. Palpatine just toyed with this guy,
Yeah.
and every time that Vader was starting to finally get the courage to take him out or leave
Yeah.
him or whatever. And just like in the Sith way, his master beat him down. It's tough for me to see
Yep.
Vader get. I still don't like it when Luke beats him. I don't like it. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Like it's such a complex character, and I thought that throughout all that, I don't know if he looked at any of the. I doubt it, but I don't know if he looked at any of the books or got stuff from the
Yeah.
comics or whatnot to help round out his character. It seems like he did. That's just
Yeah.
from what I could tell. But
Yeah.
yeah, he knocked
Well,
it out.
there's two scenes in the original trilogy where I can make the Anakin Vader
Mm,
connection. There's one in Empire and one in Jedi. The Jedi one's a little bit easier to understand because when he's with Luke on the when he gets off the AT-AT
my
and
father's truly
he's
dead.
preparing to, yeah, yep, I
Yeah,
can see the Anakin behind there. I can see
yeah.
the Hayden. And again, to your point earlier, Hayden definitely tried to capture that cadence, and make that connection. Because I also think the other place I can see Clone Wars Anakin, um, is in Empire when they discover the rebel base and he's like, that's it, and the rebels are
Hmm.
there, and Ozzel's like, sir, there's light. He's like, no, that's where we're going.
Yeah,
Just like that is so Anakin.
yeah.
It's at the
If
time
he
it
would
was
have
just this.
like slipped and called him like Yularen,
Yeah,
yeah,
right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and again, that's what's so cool about where Star Wars sits now is you can go back and forth and make connections that were never there
yep.
before, but then happened to be there because of the great storytelling, the great
Hmm.
acting, and things like that. And so, I mean, to me, that's Clone Wars Anakin, just his whole attitude. Like, no, I've decided this is what we're doing,
Yeah.
and I'm sure if they had an Imperial Protocol book that we could read, we would see he did everything wrong there. Right? He had generals and admirals telling him not to do it, and
Hmm.
he's like, no, I
That's the
have
one.
this feeling we're going to go do
Yeah,
it. Yep.
yeah. I don't.
Which is something Anakin would do with, I can see Yoda and Obi-Wan like, hey, we're not going to go save this person on this planet. He's like, all right, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah, he was a
So,
troublemaker. He was a troublemaker that one.
yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I don't think anything in the Imperial Handbook had anything for force intuition. So, uh, yeah,
Right.
they're like, plus, like, come on, just listen to the black armored warrior who can kill everyone over the phone. Like, just listen to him. Listen to him.
That's page one of the. If you run into this guy,
Yeah,
they have his picture. Just
do what
for
he
your
says.
own
Do what he
safety,
says.
just kind of do what he
Do what he
says.
says. Don't mess up his coffee. Do what he says, please.
Exactly.
Oy vey.
Exactly.